All right, here's try it 1.44 from PreCalculus OpenStax. Essentially what we're asked to do is translate this English into math, write it so it looks something like this, and you'll end up using absolute values and some inequalities going on. And the challenge is English doesn't always translate that well to math. Like we have some numbers, 20 and 80, but it's not like everything in this sentence will be in the exact same order in the mathematical expression. So really what you want to do is kind of read through it and kind of understand what's going on and see if you can translate it to absolute values that way. So what's going on here is we got students who score within 20 points of 80 will pass a test. So what we don't know is the student's score. So we're going to introduce a variable, maybe X or S or something that'll represent the score that a student gets on a test. I'm going to go ahead and use an X. And then there'll be a 20 and an 80 floating around, and there's an example right above that will probably mimic what you're doing here. But rather than rely on this, let's just kind of think about this try it independent of anything else. The student's score, we don't want that to be close to 20. We want that to be close to 80. Right? Students who score close to, don't worry about the fact that it's 20 for now, close to 80 will pass a test. So I want X to be close to 80. How can I figure out how close X is to 80? Well, using subtraction. I could write something like X minus 80. And you might be like, couldn't you write 80 minus X? Yeah, you could. This tells you how many points you score above 80. If you did 80 minus X, it would tell you how many scores you score below 80. But it turns out that either one will work for this example. You might think that X minus 80 should be less than or equal to 20, and you'd be really close. The only issue here is I can think of a test score that would satisfy this criteria that would not satisfy the sentence here. I failed the test. I got 40 on the test. I did horribly. 40 minus 80 is negative 40, and negative 40 is less than or equal to 20. So wait a minute, there's a problem there. 40 should not satisfy the criteria, but 40 should not satisfy the English. It doesn't satisfy the English. But it does satisfy the math. And the reason why is we haven't put these absolute value symbols in here yet. So the key that you're using absolute value symbols is you see things like write this distance. I mean that and the fact that we're in the absolute value section. But with these absolute values in here, I think now everything will work out. The difference between the score and 80, except don't worry about whether or not it's negative or positive. Always make it positive. That has to be less than or equal to 20. I think this will satisfy that criteria. As long as we're here, I want to make the point that what I just wrote, is identical to this statement. It's the same thing. The absolute values essentially make it so that the order you subtract in makes no difference. So you could have come up with this answer and you'd be 100% right. I'm guessing most people came up with this answer because most people probably mimicked the example that came prior. But either one of these are 100% correct.